So the NFL Network's wrap-up show of the top 100 players in the NFL is when Michael Irvin made these comments about J.J. Watt because he was ranked ahead of Luke Kuechly, and he said that his efforts have not resulted in very many wins for his teams. Here's the quote: "Whose fault is it? He's the star of the team. If the Dallas Cowboys lose on my watch, it's my fault. If you're the baddest man on the team, you've got to take it both ways, when it ain't going right and when you ain't winning. That's on you, JJ. Watt's been the baddest man in the league, and they haven't gotten close to any kind of championship." Strong words from Irvin. Does he have a point?
No, he doesn't. And I love Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin is awesome. Michael Irvin's a Hall of Famer. He played, I didn't. Waddle played, I didn't. But we all know enough about the NFL these days to know that it's an NFL quarterback league.
Yes.
It's not a star league if you're a defensive end or a rush linebacker. J.J. Watt, look, J.J. Watt lately has angered some people because he does J.J. Watt Twitter things. And if that's the worst thing you can say about J.J. Watt, that he likes to show people how hard he's working, he likes to show people that he's the first guy on the field at Hard Knocks and the last guy to leave, I'd take J.J. Watt to start a defense every single day of the week. Now, if Michael Irvin, and Waddle's got the quarterback list, if Michael Irvin had those quarterbacks, I don't know if Michael Irvin's in the Hall of Fame today. How can anyone win? I mean, that team
You mean Michael Irvin doesn't go to the Hall of Fame with Brandon Whedon and Brian Hoyer throwing him the football?
No, those guys are career backups.
Oh, okay.
They're journeyman quarterbacks. And let's remember how the Houston Texans season went. Their quarterback overslept. And
Ryan Mallett.
And he was demoted. And then you went to Hoyer, and then you went back, and you got crushed by the Dolphins, and you were counting them out. You're like, when does Bill O'Brien get fired?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, there's J.J. Watt, and there's the Houston Texans in the postseason. No one wanted to win the division. I get it. But let's give credit for what they achieved with no quarterback in a league that you have to have a good quarterback to win it.
That would be my top argument. J.J. Watt ain't playing quarterback. J.J. Watt, to me, is the most dominant player at the most important position in all of NFL defense, and that's elite pass rusher. J.J. Watt, to me, is the closest thing I've seen to Dan Hampton, one of my teammates. And I always thought Dan, who was at the end of his career when I got to Chicago, was the best player I had ever seen, because Dan could not only be a dominant player on the edge, they could move him inside to defensive tackle. He could have been an all-pro, or excuse me, a Hall of Famer at either position. He was a Hall of Famer because he played both positions exceptionally well, was an all-pro at both positions. I think J.J. Watt possesses some of the same characteristics and same qualities as Dan Hampton, and is an equally disruptive player. J.J. Watt has averaged 15 sacks per season in his 5 years. Again, quarterback, the most important position in all of football. I think on the other side of the ball, a dominant pass rusher is the most important player on defense, followed by a shutdown corner. He's the best in the league at what he does. They went, what was it, 2-14, 7-9, 9-7, whatever the records were. It wasn't because of J.J. Watt, who, by the way, over the course of those 3 years also contributed several receiving touchdowns as they would use him in goal line offense. He would bat down passes. He would intercept the ball every now and again. He would force fumbles, but he wasn't under center. Here's a list of the quarterbacks that J.J. Watt has played with over the course of the last several years: Whedon, Fitzpatrick, Hoyer, Yates, Mallett, Schaub, Qerim. Luke Kuechly, I don't want to break bad on a Boston College guy. Luke Kuechly is the epitome of class and dominance from the middle linebacker position in the NFL right now. He has to be one of the best defensive players in the league. He's got the league MVP under center for him. Cam Newton is his quarterback, hence part of the reason why the Carolina Panthers have had more success than the Houston Texans. If Cam Newton was the quarterback of the Houston Texans, I believe that the Houston Texans would have a much more impressive resume.
You mean you're telling me that they would have a better chance to win that playoff game a few years ago with Cam Newton than T.J. Yates?
Yes, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that.
Or Cam Newton than Brian Hoyer this past year?
Yes.
And look, Michael Irvin,
Love Michael, but
love Mike. Dick Butkus was on a 1-13 team with the Chicago Bears. Are we going to now talk about Dick Butkus not being worthy of all of his accomplishments? You can only do so much when you're one guy in an 11-man defense when it comes to winning. No position in sports influences W's and L's like the quarterback position.
Not only was J.J. Watt, the guy who sacked 17.5 quarterbacks, he ranked second on their defense last year in total tackles, which is crazy from a defensive lineman position. Brian Cushing led the team in tackles. I don't know what more J.J. Watt can do to help propel the Houston Texans further into the postseason. And I think the Texans are really an interesting team to watch because maybe they have solved some of their quarterback issues with Brock Osweiler. I believe that's going to be one of the good early season stories in the AFC. But I don't hold J.J. Watt accountable for their lack of postseason success. This is a quarterback-driven league. I gave you the names, and I think that the biggest weakness of Mike's point as he was comparing J.J. Watt to Luke Kuechly is obviously what the Carolina Panthers bring to the table at the quarterback position with the league MVP.
And you alluded to it earlier, but you cannot deny there is a palpable fatigue when it comes to J.J. Watt. The criticism that he's getting, whether it's because of social media or the appearances and all of the other things he might be pursuing, where does that come from?
Well, people get, the oversaturation. They're probably tired of seeing him. Look, as long as he's on the field sacking quarterbacks at the rate that he has, 15 quarterback sacks per season the last 5 years, I don't care what he does in terms of social media, and as long as he's keeping it classy, because I'm not for unclassy social media. But look, I don't know why there's hatred. I really don't. He has enjoyed the limelight. Maybe some people are upset that they feel like, he is become larger than life.
Let's call it what it is. It's stupid, Jen, because here we have a society where we build them up to tear them down. And I think J.J. Watt's the classic case of building them up to tear. We're like, wow, did you see that interception in the playoff game where he took the football and he ran it back? Do you see how strong this guy is? Then he starts showing you how strong he is, and he's in the opening scene of Hard Knocks flipping tires, and everyone's like, all right, JJ, enough already.
So he loves the limelight. He loves the camera. Big deal.
If the worst thing he does, J.J. Watt, in 2016, with the stories we read every single day, so he wants to be front row at the ESPYs with, as a single guy, so be it. If he wants to tweet, look at me, look how strong I am. Here's my log cabin in Wisconsin. Look at all the amenities.
Who doesn't want to have a log cabin?
I would trade with J.J. Watt.
So you chalk it up to envy.
Sure. Yeah, it's 2016. Look, everyone's walking around today with a cell phone doing this dumb Pokemon thing, right? Are you doing the Pokemon Go thing?
I'm not doing it, but
I'm not either.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's so cool. Next week, people will be tweeting, this Pokemon Go thing is so stupid. This is so last week.
You're just ahead of the curve.
Everyone likes to do that. We love, we overlove, we hate.
But I guess, could that be contributing to people being then critical of his on-the-field performance? Are people now seeing J.J. Watt through a different prism because of all of this other criticism that's going on?
The point is there's nothing to tear him down about. He's performing on a team that wasn't built to win, yet he's still getting to the postseason, still making impacts in games. You think when they put on the film of the Houston Texans, whoever the opponent is, that the first person they look at is J.J. Watt? That's the first guy they look at, and they circle, how are we going to get him? How are we going to take care of him?
He makes everyone around him better as well. Whitney Merciless had an excellent season last year. Everybody around him on that defense is a better player because J.J. Watt is out there. What's not to like? Last year, 17.5 sacks, played 16 games. The year before that, played 16 games, had 20.5 sacks. The guy's usually got a cast on a hand or he's got a bad ankle. Maybe he likes to publicize some of the stuff. Maybe he likes the limelight. At the end of the day, if you're a Houston Texans fan, all I want my guys to do is be on the field every Sunday and play the game at your peak capacity. And I don't believe there's anybody on the defensive side of the football, especially rushing the passer, that has done a better job consistently the last 5 years than J.J. Watt. A lot of jealousy, a lot of hate.
How many times, Jen, have we, not we, us three, but have we heard these shows tear down LeBron? People love doing it.
You did it for quite some time as well.
I'm guilty, sure.
Way to call him out there. As
Well, he was a hater.
I've come
You were a
around
hater.
now. I've come around.
You're all grown up.
Much respect to LeBron.
And you cannot deny the fact that J.J. Watt is consistently in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year.
And MVP.
Early in the season, like 2 and 3 weeks in, you're already talking about this guy being
the debate 2 years ago was Brady or J.J. Watt
And that was
for
a
MVP.
that was a stupid
it
debate.
may have been, but
last
it was still.
defensive player, I believe it was an MVP, wasn't it? Lawrence Taylor back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. I mean, that's not going to happen. The quarterback touches the ball on every play.
Single possession, offensive possession. All right, we wrap up the NFL talk and move on to the NBA. Should the Lakers go ahead and trade for Russell Westbrook now instead of waiting till next year?